All right, 3, 2, 1. Let's get this party started. Welcome to the Gym Life Podcast. Fit, jacked, and stacked. One show to rule them all. As I adjust the sound there, in case that caught you guys very loud in the beginning. I am Joe Janiga, your host, and welcome back. For those of you who, of course, are loyal to the show, loyal listeners, gym lifers out there, I appreciate all your support. And for those of you who are new to the show, welcome to the show. I mean, we're growing weekly, and it's always nice to get new listeners on and bringing them into our fold. Of course, our fold is your fold. I mean, we are a part of the gym life community here, and everybody that listens to this show, we're all related in that sense. Strongman, powerlifters, CrossFitters, Highland Games guys, bodybuilders, everyday lifters, everyday gym gals, and gym bros. We're all a part of this big group, this crazy family of the gym life, and this gym family that we have. And I just try to bring it all together here. Of course, as many of you know, I kind of lean a little heavy in the strength stuff. That makes sense because that's who I am. But I also appreciate every other sport out there. And every week I try to bring a little more of all that into all you guys to represent you guys on a bigger level. And that's I say that today, and we're going to talk about World's Strongest Man. But we're also going to talk about powerlifting today and some gym stuff and some everyday fitness stuff and little, fitness test stuff. And what else we got going on? Some records were broken. Anyhow, some motivational stuff, not necessarily for me because you guys know I'm not much of a motivational speaker, but I like to share some of that stuff with you guys from time to time when I see it. So anyhow, we'll try to keep this show very diverse. And as we move throughout the year, this year, of course, we're going to be strongman, of course, and powerlifting and everything else that's going to come on down the calendar. And I try to stay really in tune with these current events. So welcome to the show. For those of you out there, for first-time listeners, stay tuned again and keep tuning in because we're going to find something for you, or I'm going to do something for you, say something, or cover something here that may fall into your wheelhouse more than some of the other stuff. So I appreciate it. With that said, thank you to everybody out there that's been buying the Gym Life Podcast shirts. As you know, there's no money to be made in that stuff. It's futile, really. For those of you who've ever I don't know. Everybody tries to promote their brands, which is why we do that, or why I do that with Gym Life Podcast shirts. But it's kind of not necessarily something you make money on, although you make a buck or two. It's neither here nor there. Having these shirts out there to me is 100% about branding and trying to get more of the gym community involved in this show. And so I appreciate you guys buying them and wearing them into the gyms and out in public and stuff. And people ask questions about those shirts, and hopefully you get in a conversation about, hey, check this podcast out. It's really cool. So that's the whole point behind all that. So thank you guys who've been buying those shirts. That's so awesome. And I can't wait to run into more of you that are wearing them out there because it just makes me so happy that this show's resonating with so many people out there. So thanks again. Interesting look I got today, right, guys? Is for those of you out there who are fans of the show, what do you see that's different? It's pretty obvious, isn't it? For those of you listening, and if you've ever not watched the show on YouTube, I wear a black hat I wear a black hat every single show that I've done, over 180 now shows and interviews and other things that I've done and that I've broadcasted out there to all you guys over the last couple of years. I have wore a black 2XL low-profile trucker hat every single show. And I own a lot of those guys. I actually order one every month, so it's a fresh cap, right? I burn them out after a while. So that's always been my look, and I don't know why. I think a lot of us, when we get to wearing baseball caps in the gym or we get to wearing baseball caps, before you know it, we just make them a part of who we are. We just wear a baseball cap every day, which is weird, right? I mean, I even wear one at church. I go to a non-denominational church, so they'll let you wear jeans and ripped jeans and a T-shirt in there. They just want you in church. So I'll dress up, of course, with this black hat. It's kind of my look. But in any case, I switched it up today. And the reason I switched it up is because I love this hat I'm wearing. And I think finally, I don't know, maybe I lost a little weight or my head shrunk, but I put it on the other day and it didn't fit me like a yarmulke because my head is a double XL kind of head. So I need a bigger hat, of course. And maybe it kind of does. I don't know. Maybe it still kind of looks like that. But I asked a few people, I said, how does this hat look? They're like, hey, it looks great. I said, okay, I'm going to wear it then, because it's long overdue that I wear my Strong Crew hat from the guys down in Alabama and matter of fact, that whole area down there is Strong Crew now. They're crossing borders through all these states, and they represent Alabama's strongest, and they represent all the Tyler Davis's guys, and of course I represent all of them because I love that whole scene down there. I've said it more time and time again that that strongman scene down in Alabama is the cat's pajamas, man. And I can't wait to get down there to be a bigger part of it with these guys. But in the meantime, I'm representing with my Strong Crew hat today, and it's red. Boy, is it red. So it is quite a stark contrast between the black baseball cap that I've wore for 170 plus shows now to this. So maybe I'll switch it up every week now, guys. I don't know. I'm not asking for your feedback because I'm sure a lot of you out there, we don't give a shit what you wear on the show. I get that, but it's a new look, a new visual anyhow. And I'm also wearing my ADL live shirt today. Of course, I have a few of these now. I've helped Don and Nancy out at a few different events. And, of course, Don is a good friend of mine. And, I got to represent sometimes. You guys know I'm very biased on this show. As objective as I should be sometimes, I'm not. I gravitate towards good people. I gravitate towards people in this community that grow these sports the right way. And I am a loyal ADL live guy, as many of you out there are. So I proudly wear my shirt any chance I get. I've got a few of them, like I said, so it was an easy decision for me. Heck, this one's practically brand new. I think I only wore it once at the Arnold, so it's fitting pretty snug right now. Looking good. And not only that, I had a conversation with Don from ADL the other day, and boy, I can't tell you. Damn it, Don. See, I start talking about you, and I think about telling everybody this cool stuff that you're going to have coming out. Let me just say this, because I was sworn to secrecy by Don. ADL is the tip of the spear when it comes to live streaming all of our sports we love in the gym community and the MMA community. And I say Don and Nancy, are always looking to make their product better and to be more visible and make it something more, I guess you can say, more interactive with all of you out there. Let's just say that, more interactive. And what they're going to be announcing here in the next week or so is another game changer. And something I was just stoked about. And I got a little walkthrough by Don, what's going on. And so I'll give you a little tease here. I'm not breaking the rules here. I'm not saying anything I shouldn't say, other than there's every reason in the world to get very excited about something new ADL Live is going to be bringing to the table for all you guys out there. And I just got a sneak peek at it, and I was blown away. And I can't wait till he makes the announcement, because when he does, I plan on talking about it a little bit more, because it really does pertain to every one of us out there, and it's a cool, cool thing. So anyhow, congratulations, Don and Nancy, as usual. They're killing it out there and representing all of our sports at a very high level, including, of course, the Pro Strongman League, which I mentioned last week. Again, Pro Strongman League and what Tyler Purdue's doing is just awesome, and I'm super excited about that, of course, every single day. And it's like I'm waiting for new stuff to come out, And I talked to Tyler the other day, and he says, "Listen, man," he says, "I will get this out to you first as soon as I got anything new to report," because I'm always bugging him. "Tyler, what's new? Tell me something new. Tell me something new." And of course, it's sometimes this stuff takes a while. The process takes a while, right? Ink's got to dry on paper, and all these different deals he's making, and all these different type of promotions that he's setting up, and people that he's getting involved. As fast as I want it to happen, so I can get it back to all you guys, it does take time. But they've certainly done a good job getting out the Pro Strongman League. I made mention last week that what I really love about it so far is the branding of it is beautiful, and we should all be proud of that in the strongman community, because that's what we need. We need good branding. I talked about that at the beginning of the show about my show. ADL does maybe the best job of branding out there by far. I always tell Don I need to follow your template a little better. But Pro Strongman League is another perfect example of that. They're branding that organization beautifully right now, and it's going to start resonating with a lot of the general public out there that maybe doesn't know a lot about the strongman community. So that's always a beautiful thing, because the more people we get involved, I know, guys, I'm preaching, more people we get involved, the more opportunities this sport is going to have for every single one of us in the future. And that means bigger sponsors and more people spectating and bigger promotions. And so what PSL does, what ADL Live does, hey, what I'm trying to do, and all the other podcasts and all the other promotions out there that are trying to continually better their brand or their business, it's lending to everybody out there. So I encourage everybody, a little PSA, of course, continue to support all these people and all these companies that you see out there that are trying to put the right foot forward to produce a better product and a better brand that resonates with you, because all it's going to do is grow the sports that you love and keep providing to all you out there that are even spectating but also competing in these sports. So a little PSA to start the show. So not a ton going on. Well, I shouldn't say that. There's always a lot of stuff going on. Let me take a quick drink of water. Already drying out. See, guys, going on all these rambling rants. always a lot of stuff going on in the strongman community and the powerlifting and the bodybuilding and the fitness community at large. But I think the biggest thing, without a doubt, right now going on out there in our world, whether you're a part of this community or not, is World's Strongest Man. I'm going to do a quick cough here. Got a little almond in my throat. Hold on. Okay. Apologize. Live, I won't edit this stuff. You guys know I never do that. So there you go. You get a fresh cough in there, and that tells you that, yeah, I'm not editing anything. Anyhow, the World's Strongest Man. That is the biggest talk going on out there amongst the entire lifting community right now, and I think in large part because two things happened at this one that are historic. Mark Felix made it again, of course, to the qualifier for the 18th time in a row. This is his final season. He's retiring at 54, I think, which is nuts. And he could keep going, guys. He's one of the 30 guys that compete at this show every year that he would qualify again to be back next year because he's one of the 30th strongest men in the world at age 54. I think it's just amazing. Of course, Mark's probably shutting it down a little bit because, he realizes it's difficult to compete when you're older, like a lot of the Masters crowd out there, me included. And it's difficult. It takes a lot out of your body, a lot of time to heal, a lot of time to train. Multiply everything by 5 basically. But Mark is ready to hang it up. He's hanging up his knee sleeves once and for all. Probably one of the greatest grips. I shouldn't even say that. Not even probably, but the greatest grip in the history of the sport, Mark Felix. One of the nicest and coolest people in the sport. Now, I've never met him, but everybody that I've talked to that's met Mark Felix has said he is just the gentleman of all gentlemen when it comes to the type of human being he is. And I think that's the most important thing when it comes to everybody out there before how good they are in their sport. And Mark represents at the highest level, both as a human and as a strongman. So congratulations to Mark Felix, 18 years in a row. He represented our community at a super high level. And I know Mark's going to be around. He's going to be around at all these shows like a lot of these strongmen do. They don't disappear from our community. They stay a part of it somehow, some way. And we see that year after year, like guys like Kaz, of course, and he's been around forever, and we see that a lot now, like guys like Chad Coy. Well, of course, Chad's still competing, but all these other guys at a very high level that are always giving back to the strongman community at large. Like Laz, Big Laz is another example. Of course, Laz, of course, is going to be competing again this year as well. But you got Brian Shaw, and that's probably the biggest story in the community right now. Brian Shaw is retiring after this year, and I don't think he's coming back, guys. I know I've heard people say it. Well, he's just saying that. We're going to see him say next year, I'm going to come back. No, I think Brian is in a good spot right now. I think he's happy to make this his final year, and I don't know this. I'm speaking just based off of kind of how I'm seeing him move around a bit in the sport and the people that I've talked to that know Brian. I think he's super happy with the career that he's had. He's trying to go out on top, which would be the story of all stories. I think every one of us is behind him right now. Whether you're a fan of Brian Shaw or not, we would love to see him go out on top. And that is just loving our champions, guys. And I've said it on the show 100 times. We love our champions. And Brian has been the greatest American champion that we've had in the history of the sport. And he's represented at the highest level as a human being, as a father, as a husband. There's nothing scandalous with Brian Shaw. He is a true, just one of the true good guys out there. He has done a lot and done so much for the sport of strongman that I don't think it would probably take me 2 shows to even talk about his resume and things that he's been involved in and all the things that he's done for this sport to grow it and to make it what it is today in the United States on this level and globally for that matter. He's been a world champion, and I mean world. He's represented the world, but for all of us over here in the States, he has made strongman what it is today. He has brought it through his 13 years of competing at the World's Strongest Man, and he has been a true champion that has helped grow our sport, and we couldn't thank him enough. I know I'm kind of being redundant here, but I'm just kind of reminiscing in my mind because that was really just a fun story and to watch it unfold. And I think if those of us who know out there the history of Brian Shaw and him coming up through the sport, I don't think there was ever a doubt in anybody's mind that he was going to be the champion he is today. He was such a good guy, a good kid back in the day too. I say that, and he's only a few years younger than me, but he is. That's kind of how he represented back in the day. He was like this tall, lanky kid, this happy guy. Always had a smile on his face, and he was as approachable as he ever was back then, and he was just thankful to be a part of the sport, and he was a part of this really niche community in a sport that nobody knew about, but he loved it very much. And I had an opportunity to witness this firsthand at one of his last amateur shows, and I think he was still an amateur there. Matter of fact, he had to have been still an amateur there. It was a pro-am show in Hawaii, Hawaii's Strongest Man. Grant Higa, actually, the Higa Monster. Of course, many of you out on the West Coast know Grant Higa, pro strongman himself. He promoted this event, I think, or helped promote this event in Hawaii, which is still a very big event today as far as I know. I'm not sure if he still has involvement in it. But I was actually a part of Strongman Corp back then, or not Strongman Corp, NAS. It was North American Strongman and American Strongest Man. It was ASM and NAS back then. And, of course, was it Strongman Corp? NAS Strong? Anyhow, it's changed. The acronym changed. Obviously, it's changed. Willie and Dion both were a part of that organization back then. So was Mike Johnson back then, and some others, of course, that aren't necessarily visible in the sport anymore. And I actually did a show called, well, not a show, it was a website called mustseestrongman.com. It was in the dial-up days, guys. It was 15 years ago. It wasn't accessible, and by many, a lot of people didn't know it was really out there. Like a lot of things were on the internet back then. It's like, how did you know until you kind of found them? You Googled shit and you found it. And, you didn't have social media. MySpace was around, so we were doing a little bit of that. So, yeah, it was really back in the day when none of this stuff is where it's at today. And that's kind of when Brian came into the sport. He kind of came in at a very unique time to represent our sport. And I think it all kind of worked out perfect, didn't it? I mean, if you couldn't really lay it out any better, that a guy like Brian Shaw comes along right when this sort of new social media revolution takes place. And he ended up being the face of the strongman community for the last 13 years in the United States. So it really couldn't happen at a more perfect time. You had this young, tall, lanky basketball player, essentially, that, was doing strongman at a super high level before he was even close to as big as he was today. Back out in Hawaii in that year, and for the life of me, I can't remember. I want to say it was probably 2007, maybe 2006, 2007. It might even been before that, guys, a couple years prior. He was tall, he was lanky, he was strong. He was going up head-to-head against Dave Ostlund back then, who was one of his biggest rivals, I think. I think a lot of guys can argue that. Dave was built very similar to Brian back then. He was 6'9", 6'10", very lanky guy. And that, of course, was before Brian put on this 100 pounds to be the behemoth he is today. He was still incredibly strong as a thin, lanky guy. And I remember watching him out there at that particular show, and they were doing a tire flip at that show. A lot of the standard events back in the day, right? Brian just killed it. He just killed it. And it was fun to watch him because we all knew we were witnessing history. We all knew we were seeing the future strongest man of the world. Now, did any of us have an idea that he would have this, this dynasty kind of that he's had for 13 years at World's Strongest Man? No, I don't think so, but it wouldn't have surprised any of us that if you told us that at that day, if you came back from, if you came back into the past, and from the future and said, guess what? Not only did he win World's Strongest Man, but he won it 4 times, and he's made the podium more than anybody in the history of the sport, and he's been there for 13 years now, and he did all this amazing feats of strength over the course of that time. I don't think anybody would have doubted that. We knew we were witnessing history when we saw Brian Shaw compete at that Pro-Am that year in Hawaii, as many people did throughout those couple years as he competed all around the United States. So that was my first experience, not only witnessing what Brian Shaw was capable of doing, but it was also my first opportunity ever to meet him. And I had a great conversation with him. He was, like, again, very approachable, just a young guy that just loved being a part of what he was being a part of. We shared a lot of conversation, as we did with everybody, just like we do today. He's just like that today as he was back then. And it was just a great moment for me. Of course, I'm a fanboy. You guys know that. I love the sport, and I love all the men and women in this sport that are at that high level, and all the people, of course, that compete. So I make no bones about it. That was a very cool day in my life in the sport of strongman. It was getting a chance to meet Brian Shaw. And I look forward to hanging out with him again here this year, I hope. I might be seeing him around. And I want to congratulate him for his 5th victory at the World's Strongest Man. Wouldn't that be cool? So go, Brian. It's not going to be easy, though, guys. this lineup again is stacked. No surprise. Guess who's there, right? Novikov's there, and both Stoltmans are there. Of course, we worry more about Tom, I think, as Brian's nemesis right now, or one of those guys that's at the top. Mitch Hooper, right? He's had the year of years. Mitch Hooper is, I guess this is his official 1-year anniversary here at the World's Strongest Man this weekend, and he's won everything he's touched. I mean, he took third last year at this event. Third, right? And oh, by the way, Mitch Hooper's only gotten better. He's only gotten stronger. And I don't know if you've seen any recent pictures of Mitch Hooper, but he's only gotten bigger. So the chance of this guy making it the podium again, some would argue he's going to be he's the front runner. He's the guy that's going to win it. I don't doubt that, but I'm going to put all my energy into Brian right now. So I'm going to say nope. I want to put all my energy into Brian. Although Mitch, of course, is going to be a topic of that conversation as well. Tom, yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, he plays for the World's Strongest Man. I made mention of that a couple weeks ago when I talked about the Arnold, him not showing up for the Arnold or his brother. I'm not going to rehash all that, but I think we can all agree that this is his show. He's a 2-time back-to-back champion. To win 3 in a row would be real special if Tom could get that. So there's a chance for history there as well. But again, I'm putting all my energy into Brian Shaw. I like the fact Trey Mitchell, of course, is be there. He deserves to be there. That Pavlo Cordiaca, I think is the anyhow, these foreign names are tough to pronounce. He's a freak, guys. So there's a sleeper for you, I think, that you can argue is going to push that podium on the final day. Jocko Schoonwinkle or Winkler, Matthew Ragg, guy that did Australia's Strongest International. He's got a lot of press coming from behind him. Congratulations, Matthew. No surprise. He's just another up-and-comer in the sport. Who else we got? Oh, how can we forget? Welcome Evan Singleton to the World's Strongest Man final. Welcome. The party's been waiting for you, my friend. And boy, he's had some rough luck over the last few years. Evan got struck by some crazy, I don't know what was, like allergic reaction last year. Something just nuts. I mean, if it could happen, it did happen to him over the last few years. So congratulations to Evan Singleton for making the World's Strongest Man final. Evan's a friend of mine. I've had an opportunity to talk to him a few times. He is a character in our sport, which we all appreciate. And he's one hell of a strong guy, and he's a young guy, and he's the next generation of Americans, along with Trey Mitchell, along with Bobby Thompson, and these other guys that are coming up through the sport right now that are going to have to get that torch passed from Brian to one of them. And Trey and Evan are a couple of those guys in that final that we would all love to see perform at that high level and take over from where Brian left off. So congratulations to all those guys. Of course, you guys are going to say, well, who's your pick? Well, my pick's Brian Shaw. I'm going to keep saying that over and over again. Wouldn't that be a great story? And he's capable. Listen, he's capable. The fingers, and we got the knack deadlift, the shield carry, the max dumbbell, the vehicle pull, Atlas stones. Listen, we all know Brian's a great stone loader. We know he's going to vehicle pulls. He's good there. Max dumbbell, I don't pay attention to a lot of these guys. I think of Novikov when I think of pressing. Shield carry, okay, how athletic is Brian right now at this older age that he's competing, in his 40s now at World's Strongest Man? That shield carry can take a lot out of a lot of guys. Is he going to be athletic to get that done? I don't think it matters. You don't have to win every event. We know Brian is a points guy. He's a tactician when it comes to the way that he moves through these shows and navigates them as a gamesman kind of guy, and the gamesmanship he plays. So who knows? The fingers, yeah. I mean, listen, from a leverage standpoint, he's 6'9". I don't think that's going to be an issue for Brian. I think he's got as good a chance as any of those top 5 guys to win this show, and that's why I'm putting all my energy into him. But I would say my top 5 would be Mitch, of course, Novikov. I like Pavlo to be there, Brian and Tom. And I think Trey will push that as well. I think Evan is going to be – I think it's going to be probably the tightest World's Strongest Man that we've seen from a points perspective in quite some time. I really don't think there's going to be a lot of separation between your top 5, 6 guys. And listen, to take nothing away from all those guys, I want to see, of course, Evan do really well. I want to see him make it through this show in one piece. I think anybody would agree that to see Evan Singleton compete at a high level, to make it through this entire competition and do what he does, yeah, you could question him being there, of course. Trey has done it time and time again. I'm disappointed we didn't see Bobby there. I don't know. I'm gonna had a chance to interview Bobby. I talked to him at the Clash on the Coast. He was a judge there, of course. We didn't have a chance to hook up, and I said, "Hey, Bobby, I'll give you a call after World's Strongest Man." And I'm gonna give Bobby a call and see if we can't get an interview from him, and to see how he did or what what had taken place there in that qualifier. We know how strong Bobby is, and we know he's going to represent this community at a super high level. Also, Tom Evans. Tom, man, geez, oh, Pete, congratulations. Tom didn't make the final, but boy, he was in contention at that first day of qualifying. I think he was in second place, and he was maybe a half point behind. I want to say maybe it was even Tom's class. I can't remember his qualifying people in his class now, but Tom was right there. I guess he lost it kind of on that kettlebell toss, from what I understand, and I didn't get the chance to see it, but Tom Evans had a great year, and he's only getting better, super young guy. So there's just a lot of great storylines, a lot of great plot lines in this particular World's Strongest Man. I think it's going to be maybe one of the biggest watched or highly watched shows, highly anticipated World's Strongest Men in quite some time now. And, of course, I'm going to have my eyes on it all weekend because, again, Brian Shaw, baby, let's everybody get behind him and give him all of our energy. So I think that all that deserves mentioning. The World's Strongest Man, where's it going on right now? South Carolina. Is it at Myrtle Beach, right? I think it's in Myrtle Beach. Anyhow, so yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. That'll be something fun to talk about next week. What else is going on? I had a lunch with a buddy of mine yesterday, and I want to mention this because this is super cool. My buddy Craig and I, we go back a long ways. Craig's a gym guy, gym bro, right? He's been working out in the gym. Some years it's for strength and size. Other years it's for getting his beach bod on. And I think right now Craig is at a point where he's like, you know what? I want to stay in one piece. I want to look good. And he mentioned he was trying to work to lose a little weight. And he's looking fantastic, by the way. Craig, by the way. But we had a great lunch yesterday talking about all kinds of stuff. But one thing that I got from Craig in lunch yesterday, I'm going to share with all you guys out there. Craig is a single dad. He's got 2 beautiful kids. Boy, they're great kids too. Kyson and Kaylin, they're awesome. Kyson especially. What a man's man that young boy is. He is definitely going to grow up to be something special. In large part because of the way his dad raises him. So, Craig, I give all the credit to you, my friend. Not easy, of course, raising 2 kids on your own as a single dad. But one thing that Craig does that outside of just being Father of the Year every single year is Craig shared with me the way that his family starts every morning. Craig said, every morning before my son and my daughter and I, Kaylin, Kyson, and himself, walk out the door, they stand in front of their fridge, and on their fridge, he's got a list of words of affirmation. And they all read this list together, and there's like 20 lines on this list. I'm gonna get on my phone real quick here because this deserves me actually reading off to you guys because I think it's really, really cool that he does this. And I'm going to steal this from him because I would love my son to feel the same way every morning. Craig says, we read a list of morning affirmations together off every single morning before we leave the house. And I am king. I am warrior. I protect those who cannot protect themselves. When I fight to win. I love my life and everyone in it. I take pride in everything I do. I am a good at everything I do. I make everything I do look easy. I live my life and I answer to no one. I am a money magnet. Money flows to me and through me. Now remember, we all have different affirmations, so don't knock Craig for any of this because, these guys, he wants his kids to be successful. I am happy. I am wealthy. I am healthy. I am respected. I am a master negotiator. I always get what I want. I always speak with courage. I do everything with confidence. My comfort zone is everywhere. I live my life cool, calm, and confident. I am a Kuhneman. That's his last name. Now, listen, we all have different affirmations that we would use, but I think you get my point. He's raising his kids to be winners. He's raising them to be champions. He's raising them to be able to overcome obstacles and to fight through the toughest times. Because we all know when we talk about words of affirmation, this is a learned behavior. If we hear something enough, we start believing it. And sadly, that's taken a lot of people down the wrong path in life. But at the same token, if we say things enough to ourselves, we can also make those a reality. And And I think we all understand that. I think that's our culture now, knowing that these words of affirmation, this reinforcement that I can be good, I can be great. If I hear this positive reinforcement, I can make it resonate with through me and out of me and in me. And that's really what he's doing for his kids here. Not only for his kids, but for himself. Listen, Craig's gone through a lot of tough times over his life as well. He's had a lot of obstacles to overcome. As his best friend, I've seen and witnessed all this and some very, very dark and low moments in his life where he's persevered and got himself out of. True testament to the kind of person he is, the kind of man he is, and the kind of character he has. And he's the kind of guy that these words of affirmation resonate with. When he says those words, I have no doubt about it, when he's looking at the fridge with his children in the morning, he believes every single one of them, and he'll manifest those things. Because I've watched an evolution of my friend over the course of the last 20 years that's just been incredible. And he's inspiring. He inspires me on a daily basis. And these words of affirmation that he shared with me, again, everybody's got their own words of affirmation. Maybe they want to give their kids or give their family or share with themselves. But I love it. I'm going to make up my own list. I'm going to put them on the fridge. And every morning, when I can, of course, if I'm around, that being if I haven't left already, I'm going to read these off with my kids or whoever's, my daughter, my son. And for those of you out there that are single parents or, in those situations, if it's not every day, then it's at least going to be when you have them. And of course, share those words with your family every morning. I think that's just great. I just think it's great. So thank you, Craig, for sharing that with me. And I wanted to share that with all you guys out there because I thought, wow, what a great way to start your day. I know we've all heard that words of affirmation, and some people put them on their mirror in their bathroom, and they just get themselves really kind of in that mindset to start your day off like that. Be ready to take on all obstacles that are kind of coming your way, because we all know sometimes every day we step into, there's a little bit of the unknown out there, but being prepared to handle those moments and to fight through them and to, keep with the productivity and making yourself a better person and more successful, whether that's through sport, through business, through family, or other, we can all appreciate words of affirmation. So, hey, Craig, congrats, bro. That was a great lunch yesterday, and you're doing a hell of a job. I can't wait to see you this summer when we do some camping where I can spend more than just lunch with you, and we can, of course, catch up and talk about all this great stuff that you're doing and just sharing some beers and a little bit of fun here. So anyhow, boy, it just gets me reminiscing, guys. And it also gets me thinking, right? Because, man, there's a lot more to it out there than all this crazy stuff that we're a part of sometimes. And it's good sort of to ground ourselves and to realize that, we can make this work for us, not just in sport and in gym life, but a gym life is just an extension of who we are. It is who we are, but it is also just a small part of us, meaning that it's a part of the layers that make up the whole of all of us. So, and I hope you guys feel the same way I do about that. So yeah, speaking of that, do you guys see this? It was a Arte group that's with Anthony Frizzelli and Ed Milet. David Goggins is going to be a part of it. I know a lot of guys out there. First Form, Anthony Frizzelli, he's a successful businessman. Ed Milet is as well. Of course, we all know David Goggins. They've got some motivational seminars they're doing out there. And I've never really been a big fan of those. Well, I shouldn't say a big fan. I've just never really attended any of those motivational seminar type things. But this would be one I would go to if it was closer to home. I mean, just to hear these guys talk. We see them on TikTok and all these clips all the time, right? They take these motivational reels and things, and they do a lot with those. And we all love them because we play them back in some of our reels. I see a lot of you guys do that out there. I think that would be a great group of guys just to listen to. And I saw that the other day on social media. I thought that's worth mentioning. Those guys all resonate within our gym and fitness lives. That's for sure. On a different note, USAPL Minnesota, you guys know that over the last few weeks, I've taken a lot of heat for being sort of toxic when it comes to, certain things in our sports, and that being in the transgender community at large. And I have. I've taken a bruising from a lot of you guys out there because I have a position on all this stuff. And I think the position is widely accepted by 95% of you out there, as far as I know. But the 5% or so that I've offended once or twice out there when it comes to my position on this stuff is not meant to offend. It's just my position. It's my personal opinion. And I'm going to stand behind it, whether you want to hear it or not. And I'm not hating on anybody. I have a position. I have an opinion. And as I would accept yours, I hope you just accept mine. But I want to say that real quick as a preface to this USAPL Minnesota thing, because apparently they told the USAPL to cease and desist. They're no longer allowed to put events on out there until they correct the situation with transgenderism in the USAPL. As you know, they lost a case there saying that this transgender had a right to compete with the women. So the USAPL, as far as I understand, they created a new transgender division, and that wasn't good enough. Apparently, that's not going to work, which is kind of weird. So I want everybody to just chew on that. I won't give that much more conversation today. I'm just saying that's something, isn't it? Apparently, it's not good enough to create a new division entirely. So they're going to fight that in court. And I hope they win. That's all I'm going to say about that. I hope they win. I think we can all agree that there's nothing wrong with being inclusive in sport is providing we provide a platform for everybody to compete. And I think the USAPL is putting the right foot forward to do that. And I stand behind them. I hope a lot of people do out there. There's nothing wrong with that. If they want to create a new division to be inclusive, then certainly they're doing the right thing. So why is this continuing to be a problem? I don't know. And it's a bit of a head scratcher anymore, isn't it, guys? Because I don't think anybody out there is not trying to be inclusive. And again, I'm not going to expound on this any more than what I'm giving it right now. It just makes you kind of wonder really what the real agenda is out there, because I see no problem with that. Anyhow, so we'll move on. I digress. Jeez, oh, Pete's. APL Women's Pro. That was in Cincinnati over the weekend. And you guys know I'm the big fan, probably the biggest fan of women's lifting and strength sports out there in the strongman and in the powerlifting community. In large part, well, because we're witnessing things right now that are making history and will make history in the sports and have been making history in the sports now for quite a few years. We're seeing feats of strength that are blowing everybody's doors off that many of us out there didn't even consider to be possible, let alone ever happen. And we witnessed it again this weekend. Leah Reichman, first woman to go over 2,000-pound total in a powerlifting meet. Let's think about that for a minute, guys. 2,000-pound total. She squatted 953, and she did a bench press of 501 pounds. So I didn't get her deadlift, but you can do the math on that. It's roughly 600-pound deadlift. So over a 2,000-pound total, 2,055.9 to be exact. And she is the strongest woman on the planet and would make one hell of a strong woman. Don't you all agree? We should get Leah Reichman to do a strongman competition or strong woman competition. So congratulations to Leah. That's amazing. That is amazing. First time in history that's ever been done. So once again, we break down the barrier of what is possible and not possible when it comes to women in strength sports. And it is excited me continually to watch these women perform year after year. Because, boy, what are we going to see next? Of course, 2,100 is the goal, right? Who's going to be that? Is it going to be Leah? Is it going to be somebody else? A good friend of mine, somebody that I've championed on for years, a couple years since I've been doing the show anyhow, is Amber Hansen in the 198-pound women's class. Holds the all-time world record squat now of 810 pounds. Congratulations, Amber. Wow. And listen, to no surprise to me, I mean, I honestly, I think everything is within sights for her. How many records is she going to break is really going to be the question. She's good at everything. Bench press, deadlift, squat. Obviously, this weekend for her, last weekend was a squat at 810 pounds, which is freaking nuts, guys. Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to be one of the strongest women on the planet, but when you're like Leah and Amber, and not only are you one of the strongest women on the planet, but you're arguably stronger than 95% of the men on the planet, probably more than that, honestly, right? That's just amazing. So congratulations to both those guys. That is just a fun event down there, and an event that I wish would get more press throughout the entire gym life community, not just the powerlifting community, because what we're seeing from all these women down there is nothing short of amazing. So I'll continue to shed some light on those guys or those gals and their feats of strength and upcoming competitions as well. I know one of the bigger ones that a lot of people are going to get ready for is that American Pro in October. Of course, I won't be there, nor am I welcome there, apparently. That's a story from another day. But in any case, I'm going to definitely shed some light on these athletes and all the great things that we're going to be expecting to see there. So American Pro, and there's a bunch of others coming down the line too. It seems like every year powerlifting keeps adding another big show and another big show. It's given a platform to all these great athletes, a chance to lift throughout the year, really. I really, like, I talked to John Hack, and it's like, what do you choose to do now? I mean, there's, arguably, what, 4 competitions is a lot. I think that would be max for a lot of these pros. And boy, there's probably 6, 7, 8 of them. You got Ghost Clash now and Pioneer and APF women's and of course the American Pro. And boy, the list goes on now with the opportunity that everyone has to compete in powerlifting, which is a growing sport, something we don't talk about a lot here on the show. Talk about explosion in the last 5 to 10 years is the powerlifting scene in the United States. It's never been bigger. And we're seeing, as a result of that, we're seeing some amazing feats of strength, both men and women across the board. So, yeah, that's it on USAPL. Oh, USAPL, Alexis Jones. Let's talk about Alexis Jones real quick. Not a familiar name to a lot of you guys out there, I'm sure. But Alexis Jones is the first, she's got the highest total in the USAPL as a junior lifter. I believe the highest women's total in the open class at 1,545 pounds. Let me explain what that means. And I know I just said Leah Reichman at 2,000, in the same weight class, I'm sure, 2,054 pounds. Well, first off, Alexis is a junior, which means she's somewhere between 20 and 23 years old, which also means she's got a bright future in the sport of powerlifting. Oh, by the way, she's natural. She competes for the USAPL. So she's drug tested. And she did a 601-pound squat raw, by the way, a 370-pound bench press raw, by the way, and a 575-pound deadlift raw, by the way, for totaling 1,545 pounds. Pretty amazing. So congratulations, Alexis. Again, I don't want these things to be overlooked, and I overlook a lot of stuff every week. That was one for sure I wanted to make mention of and put on our powerlifting minutes of this show, if you will. We seen, this last weekend, 3 of the most amazing feats of strength in women's powerlifting and strength history between Alexis, Amber, and Leah this weekend. And there were a few others as well, guys, not to leave anybody out, but those are the ones that, crossed my mind first. Speaking of record breakers, Dan Benson is going to be attempting this weekend. So when you probably listen to this show, he's either done it or at least he's getting ready to do it. Because I believe he's going to get it. Dan Benson is one of the strongest deadlifters in the U90 strongman class in the world. He is going to go for the 400 kg world record attempt as a 90 kg strongman, which is roughly 198 pounds, guys. And that is a 181-pound deadlift. So that's amazing. So good luck to Dan Benson out there. And to keep that in perspective, the strongest man on the planet in the 198-pound class is John Hack. John's biggest deadlift is 904 pounds. So we got some pretty strong deadlifters in the strongman community as well, just to be clear. And Dan is going to be competing at the U90 Classic for Luke Davies over there in Lytham St. Anne in England this summer. And his competition, of course, is going to be John Hack. And if you didn't hear the show that I did with Luke, they're going to do an axle bar deadlift. I didn't write down the number. I thought it was 710 pounds for reps. So I've been saying all along that John Hack's going to have some stiff competition for as strong as he is statically. Dan Benson is going to be one of his rivals, his nemesis perhaps in that particular event. And that's great, right? So we're going to see a great competition there. Good luck to Dan, of course, this weekend. And how about this? Congratulations, Dan. I'll be the first to congratulate you one day in advance on your new world record of 881 pounds or 400 kilograms. The Strength Whisperer, this Dalai Lama, this crystal ball I have in front of me of knowing what all you guys are going to do out there. So a day in advance, Dan Benson, I congratulate you on your 881-pound world record, 400 kilograms, strongest U90 deadlift in the history of strongman. Congratulations. So, anyhow, that'll be a lot of fun. And hopefully I can use that clip, Dan, and you won the actual, and you actually did it. That'd be great. So what else we got going on? Let's see. I wrote something down here. It's kind of funny. You military guys will love this. You military guys will really love this. Let me find it. What is it? This guy, so I saw something on Generation Iron, and I give Generation Iron more credit than I've ever given them. I used to give them hell, right? Because I used to call what they would call the Generation Iron, or I would call them the Generation Iron obituaries. It seems like every time a bodybuilder died, and to take nothing away from, obviously doing their part, right, to, give some love to the families of these people and the fans of these people. So I'm not making fun of that. But boy, it was a while there. It seemed like every couple days they were coming out with something about another bodybuilder passing away, which of course is tragic. So I go there a lot for my news, despite the fact that I was kind of making fun of it in that respect, the obituary part. I love Generation Iron because they've really brought a lot of cool stuff. We know the documentaries they've done, of course, and they always get like really cool stuff on there. Even with Strongman, you see that throughout, of course, Iron, right? They're gym life essentially, which I love. They love the same thing that I do, and that, of course, is this general lifting community at large. And I embrace them, of course, and I love the media there. But every now and then I'll see something and scratch my head like, it just must have been an off day. It must have been a really off day for writing articles or something. Because unless I read this wrong, and I don't think I did. I went back 3 times and read it. It said the Stan Brownie guy. I guess he's a fitness influencer. He supposedly does these insane feats of strength or these insane like fitness feats, right? Whatever that's worth. Like one of his feats was to run a mile a day for 30 straight days. I'm not quite sure that's a really impressive, guys. Let's be clear. To run a mile a day for 30 straight days. If I read that wrong, I apologize, but I read it the way it was written, guys. All you military guys out there are laughing right now, right? I know when I was in the military, we ran more than that for 30 straight days. Another thing was 150 push-ups and 50 pull-ups in 5 minutes. Not impressive, Stan. It's just not. And if Generation Iron wants to make that impressive by writing that article, no offense, Generation Iron, go talk to some of these military guys out there and ask them how many push-ups and pull-ups they're doing in 2 minutes. They don't need fucking 5 minutes to do that. I'm telling you right now, half the Marine Corps can do 150 pull-ups or 150 push-ups and 50 pull-ups in 5 minutes. I guarantee it. So not that impressive as a feat of strength. And I guarantee you every one of those guys can run a mile a day for 30 straight days. Matter of fact, I would argue that all of my military friends out there at a high level can probably do 150 push-ups and 50 pull-ups for 30 straight days and run a mile for 30 straight days pretty easily, probably before breakfast every morning. So, yeah, not too impressive. I read that article. I was kind of scratching my head going, that's not impressive at all. These guys don't get out much. I get it from a gym guy or gal perspective. That might be a pretty impressive number for the average gym goer. But is it really 150 push-ups and 50 pull-ups in 5 minutes? He wasn't doing one set of pull-ups for 50. I can guarantee you that. But when we were doing pull-ups in the military, and I'm not talking like the kipping kind of pull-ups, guys. I'm talking dead hangs. Fuck, half my company could do 25 in one fucking setting in 60 seconds. So I don't know. Not too impressive. Nobody wants to see that. Nah, I'm not going there, but we all love to see good, healthy fitness activity, right? I'm not going to say that, but I'm not so sure that that's really impressive feat of strength, to be honest with you. Guys, let me know if I'm wrong about that. Military guys especially. I know you guys are all laughing about that, I'm sure. Thor's pec tear. Wow, did you guys see that? See it, heard it, for shit's sake. I had George Bullard send me the video like right after it happened. He says, listen to this. Don't watch it, listen to it. Oh, it was a rubber band snapping, guys. Oh, my God. It was hard to listen to. For those of us that have ripped, now that I'm a part of that club, ripped a muscle or tore completely removed it from the bone. Oh, boy, that snapped like a rubber band. He's done. Yeah, sadly, he's done. I know Thor's not looking at it from that perspective. Of course, he's a fighter, and he's going to say, listen, I'm going to come back like I've come back from any other thing that I've dealt with. Strongman probably. Let me say that. Strongman probably, because we know you don't need your pec in strongman. You don't. There are not many bench pressers in the strongman community anyhow. And we can argue that he could probably come back at a really high level still. But, boy, he's going to have to get to recover here. You know, he's no spring chicken anymore, and he's going to want to get back into competition like that was his plan this year to make a comeback into the pro strongman stuff. He's going to have to get busy now because that pec tear is going to set him back. And it was sad to see that. He was going for some crazy – somebody told me, and I don't have all of my information out, but somebody told me he was trying to go for the world total record. But I thought the bench that he did was only like 560 pounds or something. I say only. I know that's a lot, but that's not a lot when it comes to breaking a world record. Although, let's think about this. We know he's capable of an 1,100-pound deadlift. So if he did an 1,100-pound deadlift and he did a 560 bench, so he's already at roughly 1,700 total. I mean, if he did a 1,000-pound squat, yeah, I guess. I mean, it would be equipped, of course. But I think what is the current 2,700, high 2,700s, I think. So, yeah, I mean, maybe he had a chance to do it. But, yeah, I don't know. that would have to be a really big deadlift from him and a really big squat. That bench was not that heavy, and not to take anything away from the pec tear. It doesn't take a lot of weight to tear anything. Hence my 250-pound keg press. I could do that in my sleep 100 times, and it tore my tricep that day. But so anyhow, quick recoveries to Thor. That's not what anybody wanted to see out there in the strongman community. It was exciting to hear that he was going to make his comeback. Because we have a feeling maybe Eddie Hall would have been right behind him. Wouldn't that be fun? We relive that whole scenario all over again. But it was cool that Eddie immediately reached out to Thor, and they've buried the hatchet, which I think is cool because I think that was serious, guys. Those guys really didn't like each other. I don't think a lot of us are saying, "Oh, this is just kind of made up drama." It wasn't, but Eddie was super cool and giving his love and support for Thor, and I think that's just two strength guys that understand that. In time of war, it's one thing, but when these guys are, real human beings and they get hurt, nobody wants to see that. Yeah, so nobody wants to see that. How about that? That's our nobody wants to see that this week. Nobody wants to see Thor tear his pec muscle. Not a good thing. Best wishes and best recovery to you, man. Oh, what else? Nobody wants to see this. Hip thrusting for PRs. I saw this video. I couldn't even believe it. And she was being serious. This girl had 706. Mind you, it was pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. She had 765 pounds on the bar to do one of those hip thrusts, right? Those glute thrust guys that you see girls, they roll the bar up over their legs and they have the pad there and then they do a glute thrust with it. It would be hard pressed for a lot of guys to do a 765-pound glute press for a PR. But, I mean, I looked at that. I was like, oh, boy. I was cool to watch, I guess. So maybe I'm having a second thought about it, but we all know you don't need a lot of weight to do that movement, do you? I mean, shit, I've done it. I'm not going to lie. As funny as it may have looked to everybody in the gym that day, 2 plates was kicking my ass. I'm not going to lie. And I was a deadlifter, so I have a decent posterior chain. But, wow, I think a lot of us need to probably do that movement a bit more. I'm not suggesting we do it with 765 pounds or need to set PRs in that movement. But we certainly probably, us guys, despite what my old friend used to say, we need to see more guys do this movement. I used to go, fuck that. We don't need to see that. I think we need to see that. I do, because now that I think about it, I was pretty weak in that. And I don't think I could do 765 pounds for one. That's a fact. So anyhow, whatever that is, I didn't even get her name because I don't think she's going in the record books anytime soon. So yeah, got that. What else is going on, you guys? Of course, I made a mention of a ton of shows last week. We'll wait till next week to kind of go over those. I just think it's worth kind of mentioning one more time. World's Strongest Man this weekend, because I'm going to get this out, guys, and make sure that I have it out to you guys yet here today on a Friday afternoon before the finals start tomorrow. Not that it's going to sway your opinion on this show at all, because, boy, it's throwing a dart to pick the winner. But I want you to put all your energy towards Brian Shaw. I want you to give him all the love and all the support that you can give him, because I think it would be great to see one of the greatest of all time, one of the greatest American strongman, or the greatest American strongman of all time, that has represented all of us in the world at large at a very high level, go out at the very top. So here's good luck to you, Brian Shaw. I look forward to talking with you in the future this season, and I know you're going to be a big part of the sport for years to come. And it has been a pleasure watching you, brother, and it is going to be a pleasure watching you this weekend as well. So there's the show, guys. We are going to end it on that note. Thank you for joining the Gym Life podcast. Of course, I appreciate all your support. So stay tuned.